So it has been a little while since we took a look at what Colin Cowherd was saying about the Green Bay Packers. I came across this on a John Middlecoff podcast. He has a podcast called 3 and Out, and he was talking with Colin Cowherd. And so I want to share what Cowherd had to say about the Packers and then give my thoughts.
One of the things in the draft that I was reading a story, and I forget, God, I want to give credit to whoever did it. They went back and looked at last year's draft and graded it. And again, it's not so. Houston had the most successful draft. So when C.J. Stroud comes in and crushes, some of it is very explainable. They hit like on 5 draft picks. Number 2, I know the Rams and the Seahawks were up there. The Packers were at 3. And I got to tell you something. I said this. I liked both the Packers' last 2 drafts. I sometimes wonder about this. But by the way, the Jets and the Giants, terrible.
Yeah.
Is that I sometimes wonder, and you worked in the building, because Philadelphia, where you worked, it's a wealthy franchise. There's a lot of money here. Green Bay, I could argue, over the last 25 years, has done a better job than anybody in this league drafting and developing. And when you were in the league, and my take is a lack of an owner helpful? The guys running it are just all football guys. But the Packers, they went to last year's draft, and the receivers hit, and the tight ends hit, and I just, when I look at Green Bay, I think, okay, they've had different GMs, different coaches. They nail quarterbacks, great O-line. They always find receivers and tight ends. When you were in the league, is it one of those classic, the millionaire next door, that if you're on a school teacher salary, you're just not going to waste as much money. You're going to be smarter than a stockbroker who's got money to, right? Are the Packers seen as frugal because they don't have the game day revenue? But when I saw that list, and again, I apologize for not crediting who it was. I saw it on the plane. It was best draft from last year. Packers were 3rd.
So I would have to agree with what Cowherd says. I mean, it's sort of hard to deny the success the Packers have had over the past 3 decades. And I do think that when you hit on a quarterback, it makes everything else so much easier, because so many NFL organizations that maybe have one solid elite tier level quarterback, the second they leave, lots of times it takes these teams a long while before they're able to find some more stability at the position. Where with the Packers, they went from Favre to Rodgers. They then go from Rodgers to Jordan Love. And I think because there hasn't been long periods of time of a ton of uncertainty and a ton of instability in the organization at that position. I mean, maybe a month or so this past year, there were some questions as to if Love could play at that top tier level, because for a while he wasn't playing well. The Packers were 2-5, and it was a little shaky. You needed to see some kind of improvement, and luckily we saw a complete 180 in how this Packers team was playing and how Jordan Love was playing. No doubt he took some massive strides forward later in the season to, I think, become a top 5, top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And so when you have that quarterback, it just gives you a lot more, ability to be patient, because you don't have, fans constantly saying, what's going on here? We need to find a guy. We need a new GM. We need all this kind of stuff. And there's no doubt that there's been some frustration, I feel like, with any GM in the league. Just I think when Brian Gutekunst drafted Jordan Love, there was some frustration there. But now looking back, his willingness to take someone that wasn't a popular pick at the time, because we still had Aaron Rodgers and still had a competitive roster, it has now paid off in the long run. And so I think because, what Colin Cowherd was saying, when you hit on a quarterback, I think it gives you a lot more ability to be patient. And the Packers, I think their organization, their front office, the way that it's structured as well, allows them time, because they're not really worried that much about their job. Of course, they want to do well, and they know that if they're not productive in the future, that maybe they could be gone. But I do think that Brian Gutekunst feels like he has some leeway to make these decisions and not have to change things in one season, which is hard. And so with that being the case, maybe it would be different with an owner, because owners they could come in one day and make some rash decisions, where I think with the Packers, no ownership, it does give them the ability to be more patient, and they don't have someone at the top who's just sort of making decisions willy-nilly, as a few GMs or a few owners in the NFL have done from time to time. And so I do think it is a benefit of the Packers, and one area where they're able to be different and unique than other NFL teams. And they have been pretty good at drafting players, especially quarterbacks. And I want to bring up one draft that some of you said. I was making some video about Brian Gutekunst, I don't know, maybe a month or two ago, a few weeks, I can't remember, about how he's a genius, basically. But lots of you brought up the 2020 draft and said he wasn't very successful in that draft besides Jordan Love. And I'll throw it up here. And it is pretty true. Jordan Love, of course, massive hit. A.J. Dillon may or may not be back. Josiah DeGuara, Kamal Martin, John Runyon Jr., probably not back. Jake Hansen, Steinman Stefaniak, Vernon Scott, Jonathan Garvin. And so, while yes, were there lots of hits here? Not really. There were a lot more hits, I think, in 2022, 23, no doubt. But when you hit on a quarterback, when you hit on Jordan Love, I think that it doesn't even matter what you do the rest of the draft. When you hit on a quarterback who can play at a top-tier elite level, it sort of fixes every single problem and gives you the ability to have some misses, which there's always misses in drafts. I mean, the hit rate, even in the first round, can't be better than, I don't know, 60%, some 50, 60, I don't know the exact number. But anyways, the Packers have been a top-tier organization for a long time, mainly due to their ability to draft the quarterback position. So those are my thoughts. I agree with Colin on that one. It's really hard to deny the Packers and their ability to draft and develop, especially quarterbacks. So that is all for this one. If you want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time.